all you literary friends and gents, it is your girl Deja, and I'm back with a brand new video on my channel. Hey, it's been a while since I have filmed the video, and by a while, I mean it's been a very, very long time. The last video I filmed on this channel was definitely the, The Reading Rush was the vlog. That was the last time I posted something on this channel, but I'm back. I'm here. It's 2021. We made it. Like, claps, snaps, hi-hats, all that stuff. We made it to 2021, guys. Amazing. Proud of y'all. Proud of me. Because last year was a struggle. I mean, it's still kind of a struggle, but last year was definitely a lot worse. So, taking my wins, I'm taking my sugar along with my salt. But that's not what you guys are here for. You guys are here for a wrap-up. So, I don't know if any of you follow me on Twitter, but I did post on Twitter, I believe, like, maybe at the beginning of February, I was like, hey, there is like a drunk version of this reading wrap-up that I'm about to do right now. And I've been watching that video like over and over again, and I'm not gonna lie, there are some parts that made me laugh. And I'm just really contemplating whether or not I wanted to post it, because it's just like, there's like some profanity dropped in there. It's not too bad, I don't think so. And it's just like, I was like, I don't know if this is like an image that I want to project. It's like nothing bad or terrible, but I was just like, oof, it's a lot. But if it's something that you guys really want to see, like if the boring old plain formula that I typically use for wrap-ups, if it's not doing nothing for you, if you want to see that junk wrap-up, just let me know in the comments. If I get enough people asking me for it, I'll post it. But until then, I'm going to do this the traditional way. So for those of you that don't know, I am participating in the Avengers Readathon. It is hosted by all of these lovely people right here. And it is a year-long readathon where basically you do your best to collect all the Avengers by reading book prompts. There's non-reading prompts as well. It's a whole bunch of cool stuff. I'll put everything down in the description below, all the links, all that good stuff. So for the first month of 2021, for the month of January, I am proud of myself. I read 3 books. I have not finished a book, like I said, since the Reading Rush. I think, I finished a book like after Reading Rush for the Readathon round 3. What book that was, I don't remember it. I would have to go back, because this is why you write things down, because I don't remember stuff. But I read 3 books in the month of January, and I am proud of that, because February is almost over, and I have read bupkis, zilch. Nada, nothing. So I'll take taking my wins along with my losses. So without further ado, so this video doesn't get too long, let's jump straight into that wrap up. So the first book that I read for the month of January is, I don't want to ever like call like an author's story like trashy, but like I don't mean trashy as in like, oh man, this story was like horrible, like why did this person even try to write? I mean trashy as in like the genre of like trashy novels. Like this story was written for like smut and smut only. Like the plot was kind of thrown in there like afterwards, or at least it feels like on some of the parts the plot was thrown in afterwards. And I am talking about Tales of the North by, hold that thought. Okay, I'm back. So I am talking about Tales from the North by Richard Blanch. I'm gonna throw it out because it was a Kindle Unlimited story. So when I first saw the prompt for like Vikings and it was for Thor, I was just like, I don't have any Viking books. I don't want to like go out into a bookstore because we were, COVID and all the other stuff. My bookstore in my area, I don't even know if it's open yet, but this is the point. I was like, Kindle Unlimited probably has a Viking story there. And I found this one and I was like, ooh, and it's gay. Let's read this. Whew. First things first. When I came into the story, I thought it was just like all one big long story. No, it's 3 different stories. In order, the first story is my favorite. The third story comes in second place, and the second story, dead last. I almost didn't want to put it on the list, but the second story was, ugh. So the first story, the names escape me, like, you guys, it was a lot, okay? Let's just say that this book was a lot. So in the very first book, we follow our Viking and a dragon king. Like, literally, he's a king who can turn into a dragon. And he shows up to our main character's village, and he's just like, hey, I need to, like, take over this area because there's an enemy dragon coming this way and I need to secure my borders, right? The guy who's in charge of the guy who's in charge of the main character's village is his older brother, right? So the Dragon King is like, my right hand lady, here's her oldest daughter, just keep here as like, you know, as a form of trust. And the leader of the village is just like, well, you know, my daughter's like baby, basically. So his brother is just like, fine, I'll go. And you know what happens? Him and the Dragon King hit it off, and they end up doing the do, and then our this is an imperfect story, just to let you know. So our main character ends up, you know, with child, and then they go and off, and they have like the big. It was just a lot. Okay, I will say this: the character development of the first story and like the almost slow build of the relationship was, you know, pretty decent. I enjoyed it. Like I said, the first story was definitely my favorite. So yeah, that's I don't even know how to describe this because it was just a lot to read, right? We're gonna move on because if not, this is gonna end up being such a freaking long video. Anyway, so the second story, you also have a dragon, right, who can turn into a human, but he's not a king. And then you have our main character who's from a village. And every year the village gives offerings to this dragon to protect them from, like, you know, people trying to take over the land. One day he's just like, well, you know, I want a person. They're like, oh no, they're gonna eat the person that we send. And our main character is just like, well, I don't have a wife, I don't have any kids. The slaves who are under me, you can just let them go if I don't come back, but I'll try to slay the dragon. And the people are just like, oh no, yes, but oh no. And he goes, and the dragon's just like, I just wanted somebody to talk to. Like, y'all give me cows as offerings. Cows can't talk. I just want somebody to talk to. And there's this very weird scene in the second story where somehow, some way, they end up like doing it in the air. And I was just reading that, like, physics says no. No, like, it was just a lot. We get to the third story. We have a king. There's no more dragons in the third story. Why? I have no idea. I thought that was a theme that we were going to stick with. Apparently it was not. We get to the third story. We have a king. And it starts off in a battle, right? And they win. And so the guy that he's fighting is just like, you know, like, I respectfully surrender. And he gets taken as a spoil of war, right? And used basically as like a pleasure slave. But the guy who's like, the pleasure slave is like, I'm going to kill this guy. But then he starts developing feelings. And then the king is just like, you know what? You're too good of a warrior for me to like waste. Somebody's having an emergency. Tell me your neighborhood is no longer safe without telling me your neighborhood is no longer safe. Anyway, so back to the story. And so he like starts taking them out like when they go on raids or hunts and stuff and whatnot. And they end up saving like these. They're not witches, but like they're like seers, and they're all female. They end up saving them, and then the seers are just like, oh, you know, we'll give you a gift, and the gift is wonderful, right? The ending of the story kind of like blew my mind because I was just kind of like, not blew my mind and like, oh my god, that's amazing. Blew my mind in a okay kind of way. So like I said, this whole book was a lot. If, you know, gay romance, impreg, animorphs, whatever is your thing, if you want to read it, you can read it. And I'm pretty sure, pause, I had to pull out my handy dandy notes for this one because you guys know me, I can't remember anything. So I write down, now digitally write down all the things that I've read. And for Tales of the North, I ended up giving the whole thing 2 stars. I wanted to give it 2.5. Just like I said, I enjoyed majority of the stories, but everything was just a lot. So 2 stars. I ended up giving this book 2 stars. So moving on. And I might throw up like the little graphics that I made for like the books as I'm reading these things out to you guys. Lotion. So the second book that I read in the month of January was The Education of Bet by Lauren Barratz-Lockstead. I thoroughly enjoyed this story. I did not think I would. It's been sitting on my shelf for the better part of like 1.5 years now, and I just never took the time to read it, and I'm upset with myself that I didn't because this story was wonderful. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I almost gave it 4.5 stars, but there was just some things in the end. You guys know how I feel about my endings. If the ending is not good, it just throws the whole story for me. Like, I can enjoy a book, but if the ending sucks, that's a whole star just knocked off just from that. I'm like, you can't take me on a roller coaster ride and then, like, when I'm at my peak of, like, this is amazing, be like, okay, it's done. Bitch, what? So we follow our main character, Elizabeth, who is referred to as Bet, and her older brother, Will. Now, there is a twist in this book that I saw coming from, like, a mile away. Like, it's trying to, watching, like, a Titan trying to be sneaky, and I'm like, dude, I live in Texas, everything is flat. When you're trying to be sneaky, I saw you coming all the way from Austin, so it ain't work. Anyways, so yeah, there's a plot twist in here. Anyway, so we follow Bet. She's a female. I believe that the story takes place in the 1800s. Right? Yes. So the story takes place in the 1800s. You know, females aren't allowed to get an education. They pretty much, sit there and look pretty. And Bet has been adopted by Will's great uncle. So they both live in the same house. They grew up together as siblings. And so one day, Will is, like, sent down from school. He's kicked out. And his great uncle is just like, I got you one last chance at a different school. And Will is gung-ho about, I want to join the military. I want to go out, experience life, adventure, all the other good stuff. Bet's like, you selfish bastard, okay? I would love to be able to get an education, but I can't because I'm a woman. So she concocts a plan. She's like, how about this? We look the same. We look very similar from each other. And I can impersonate a guy very well. I basically just have to act dumb, stupid, and haughty. And Will was, rightfully offended, but I thought it was funny. And he's just like, you couldn't even do it. I'm not doing this. But she practices. She cuts her hair, which was a very emotional moment for her because, it was a lot. I love how that scene was written. She cuts her hair, starts practicing how to write like him, all this other stuff. And eventually Will is like, fine, we're going to do this. We're going to trick our great uncle and everybody else around us. I'm going to the military. You go to school post as me, right? And Elizabeth is supposed to be staying with somebody else to help care for, like, an elderly woman. It's a whole plot that's concocted. But when she gets to school, and it is a school, like I said, it's only boys there, things are not what she thought they were going to be, because the toxic masculinity that is portrayed in this book is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And the things that she has to go through, what she has to, like, deal with is terrible. And the thing that kind of really, like, the story for me is when she started falling for her roommate. I don't have a problem with the fact that she started falling for her roommate. Her roommate was really cool. My problem was the fact that, like, her roommate started falling back for her before he knew that she was a girl. And I was like, I'm getting very much Mulan vibes, except it's, like, problematic. And I hate using that word problematic because, author interpretation, all that good stuff. But it really bothered me at some parts how they portrayed her roommate's feelings towards Bet when he thought that Bet was a guy versus his feelings towards her when he finds out eventually that she's a female. I don't think that's a spoiler alert because he finds out, of course. But the thing that got me was the ending. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the ending was absolutely terrible. I hated it. I thought it was the dumbest and stupidest thing in the world. I thought that how everybody handled the situation outside of the great uncle handled it terribly. But overall, story was good. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. Definitely recommend it for a read. It's really short and quick, and it reads really quickly, right? That's another thing. It's a really short book. I believe it's just over, like, 150 pages, something like that. And I, like, zoomed through it in a night. It was beautiful. And last but definitely not least is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. Whoo! So I ended up giving this book 4.75 stars. Why did I not give this book 5 stars? In one word, names. The names of these characters was driving me crazy from the time I opened this book until the time I finished it. I was hyped as I don't even know what at the end of this book. But reading character names was killing me throughout this entire book. Okay, hold on. Dear Tracy, if you ever see this video, first of all, love the book, love the plot twist, love, everything. beautiful. However, what do you have against multi-syllable names, okay? Every single character that has a multi-syllable name, it has been cut down to something that is a single syllable, all right? Selwyn, Sel. Nicholas, Nick. William, Will. Who else? Brianna, Bree. Who else is Victoria, Tor. Sarah, Sar. I don't say Sarah because that sounds weird. Sar. No. If your name is Sarah, okay, I don't know anybody who has ever cut the name Sarah down to a single syllable to say something like Sar or Sarah. If you pronounced it Sarah, me and you got to have a conversations about phonetics and all the other stuff, English language and drunk English. And it confused me because there were so many characters and so many of them were kind of like generic. Outside of William, Sel, Nick, Bree, and Vaughn, everybody else was kind of generic to me. Like, I could kind of tell them apart. Like, I know that at one point there was a character named Fitz. Was there a Russell? Like, I promise you, like, I was at the end of the book, and you guys know the whole climactic moment inside that specific area where that specific thing happened with a specific item. That happened, and they were mentioning characters as, like, you know, the thing was going on, and I'm just like, I don't even remember who you are. When did you show up in the story? And I'd have to backtrack and be like, oh, okay, and then go back, come across another name. Who is this? Find their name. Oh, okay. Go back to the fight, and it drove me low-key insane. Cause I'm just like, your character names and like their personalities, especially if you're gonna have like a big cast of characters, like they don't have to be like dramatically different, but like there has to be some individuality and something. That was the thing though. The names of this book drove me crazy. I hope that it's something that is fixed by the time book 2 comes out. I'm ready for book 2. I was ready by the time I was halfway through book 1. Anyways, the names killed me. Like, Tracy, like, there's nothing wrong with syllables. Okay? There really isn't. They can be our friends. We can learn to get along. Syllables, you and syllables can learn to get along. That's the point. I fucks with Selwyn Kane so hard, you guys, like you have no idea. I just want to wrap him up in a big blanket, give him all the hugs and cuddles that he requires, you know, consensually, if that's something that he likes to do. Feed him his favorite food, and then fight anybody and everybody that has ever said anything mean or rude or disrespectful to him, because he deserves all the love in the world, and I will fight a bitch over him. He had my heart. He had my heart. The first time we met him, I was just like, oh, here's the love interest. But then Tracy was just like, nope, it's not the love interest. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Strong platonic friendship, I'm here for it. But then, as we started getting further into the book, man, he had my heart in palpitations. That's not even the right word I wanted to use, but like, let me calm down. Selwyn Kane, chef's kiss, okay? This story, I feel like, did him wrong. A lot of these characters, at one point, Nick did him wrong. And I was almost about to slide Nick. And I'm just like, Nick, you're one of those rare few characters, okay, where I ship you with the main character, Nick and Bree. I shipped them so hard. That relationship was so freaking beautiful. Like, the tender, like, looks and the touches and the kisses and the fact that they slept in the same bed and there was nothing wrong with that. I was just like, oh, man, it was, It was wonderful, okay? I'll get my blood pressure up. Just think about it. It was so cute. And I was reading it and I was just like, oh, I'm fine. Concentrate, bring it back. I just need like a side story of just like Selwyn and his life, and fine. Okay, bring it back. Yeah, so that was another thing that I liked in the story. Like I said, I totally forgot the point that I was trying to make because my brain started thinking about things and then it started spiraling and that just went downhill. I could go on and on about this book. Just know that I had very conflicting feelings, but for the most part, this book was freaking fantastic, okay? Like I said, 4.75 stars, right? The only thing that, like, knocked that, like, 0.25 star off in particular was the names. because it just threw me off and it kept bringing me out of the story because I didn't know who anybody was. But besides that, I definitely recommend this. Read it. I will loan you my old copy. Just read the book. All right. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. So that is my wrap up for the month of January. I ended up reading 3 books. It was just a whirlwind of experience. I started out with a book that I was just like, oof, this is a lot, to a book where I was just like, ooh, that was really good, to a book where I was just like, take me away. And it was just like a roller coaster of emotions throughout the month of January. It was a lot. So yeah, that is it. If you guys have read these books, if you guys disagree, agree, or you just want to like comment certain things down in the comment section below, you can do that. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more of like my semi-decent looking face, here's some more of my semi-decent opinions, click the subscribe button down below so you guys can see when I come out with the next video, because I am going to start posting more content now that I have settled myself into myself, if you know what I mean, and come into myself as well. But you guys know what it is. Let me see if I remember my outro. It's been such a long time. I don't. I know what it sounds like. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys can give it a thumbs up. And if you want to, you can subscribe to my channel down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! That's what it was. That's what it is. I do the... Bye.